Hey there, and welcome back to the next episode of Say What You Want About Real Estate. I'm Michelle Elliott.
And I'm Kristina Rodgers.
Okay, so today, Kristina, we are talking about the top 5 mistakes that buyers make in the Silicon Valley. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, this is a hot topic for us. This is actually something we talk about all the time. So we're not wasting any time. Let's go ahead and talk about, I think, a pet peeve for most realtors, which is Zillow.
Oh,
Okay?
yes.
If you are checking the Zestimate, honey, okay, that is not a good way to try and find comps for a property. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Zillow only knows so much.
Right, absolutely, right? Because here's the thing is that Zillow cannot see inside of a home, right? And also, like, what is the Zestimate? Do we even know?
No, I mean, have you noticed how big that range is?
Yeah, right, exactly. Right, exactly. They don't even give us the actual algorithm for what they're going off of, right?
Well, that's what's mind-blowing. Does Zillow know how many offers the home that went 200K over received?
Of course not.
You
right?
know?
Yeah. And this estimate, it can't tell from condition, right? So like if one is a fixer-upper and one is, newly remodeled, it can't tell.
No, that's why you need the human component. You need the agent with relationships that's going to call all those sales that have closed and say, hey, what kind of activity did you get?
Right, absolutely.
How many offers did you get?
Yeah, and with that being said, we have to take into account that when the market is an ascending market, so the prices are going up, right? The market's moving. The only way to get current data, okay, check this one out. The only way to get current data is to check the pendings.
Yes.
Because here's the thing, is that any comp that you see is at least 30 days old.
Yeah, everything that's on Zillow, it's already happened. That's in the past.
Absolutely.
What's happening today?
Okay, so let's explain that part. So when you go and purchase a home, most homes close in 30 days, right?
Right.
So the data that you have is when the person put the offer on the home 30 days ago. So anything that's closed is old data.
100% old data. You've got to look at what is currently pending. And then again, Zillow doesn't see the condition of the homes that have closed.
Right, absolutely. So you have to go and you have to do the legwork, and you need a human being to do this, to go and call the pending listings and ask the agents, hey, what are you pending for? How many offers did you have?
And bonus points if your agent specializes in that area and has those strong relationships and understands it.
I wasn't even going to go there, but... But let's go there, girl, because here's the thing is that if you don't have an agent who specializes in the area, what you're stuck with is someone calling a random person and begging for data, and sometimes agents gatekeep. Am I wrong?
Absolutely.
Right? So they won't necessarily tell your out-of-town cousin who happens to have a real estate license what they're pending for, because they don't know what your cousin's going to do with that information. So they may not trust that person, right?
Yeah.
So it's better to have an agent in the area who knows their stuff, who has relationships with people. I always say it's a people business. It's a relationship business.
It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the other thing people always do on Zillow is they look at active comps, okay? Active comps, if you're looking at the active comps, I'm going to say this. Either the seller is totally barking up the wrong tree with that price, or the seller has a bait and switch. So if you're using Zillow to find the property's home value, you may be looking at a bait and switch and not the true value. So what do I mean by that, Kristina?
I think with Zillow, if it's still on the market, you have to ask yourself why, right? It's great. You can view those on Zillow, but Zillow isn't giving you the answers.
Right. And if it's active, it's not closed. So sellers can ask whatever they want, right? They can ask under their expectation. They can ask, over the market value. They can ask whatever they want, right? So when you're looking at active data, it's not data. It's just what the seller's perception is.
It's a starting point. What becomes data, again, like you mentioned, is those pendings. what did the buyers who are currently in contract decide homes nearby are worth?
Right. So mistake number 1 is
Zestimates.
To try and comp properties, right?
Yeah.
So as a buyer, what you don't want to do is go to Zillow and try and bumble your way through figuring out what the market value is. I hear this all the time. You know, buyers will come to you and say, well, I did the research. What you're looking for is not a Zestimate. You're looking for real MLS data, okay? And your agent can pull that for you, right?
Yeah, your agent has the ability to pull accurate data, and your agent hopefully has relationships to see what's going on with all those pending listings.
Mm-hmm. So if you even want to get a trend line for where the market is going, your agent can pull you a year's worth of data in a community. But if you're working with an area specialist, they're going to know where that market is headed, number 1, which Zillow has that. Have you seen that timeline thingy or whatever on Zillow? Like, yeah, I mean, again, these are algorithms, no humans looking at this, and they are, you know, and who knows what their algorithm is even, you know.
Well, my favorite is when my clients tell me they love Zillow, and then I go back and look at Zillow because I'm like, all right, like, what do we have to demystify here? And it's like, that comp? That was 9 months ago.
Yes.
That was like, it might as well have been a different year.
Right,
like,
yeah, no, 100%.
Because that's how quickly our market shifts and changes.
Actually, you bring up a good point. So when agents are pulling comps, we pull them in a very different way, I think, than people that are not professional. So part of our parameters are going to be that we're looking at comps that are new. So even though your neighbor's home is the last home that sold on your street, if it's even 9 months old in some markets, it's already old news, right? So if the market's descending, it's going down, then it could be that your neighbor got a really good price. But if it's an ascending market, then, you know, your neighbor could get even higher price than that, right? So, you know, for buyers, then what you need to understand is where is the market headed, right?
Yeah.
And if you use old data, you're not going to be able to figure that out.
Right. Like, I pull the comps for my clients. I'm typically looking at something within 90 days, and then I make the decision, right? Is there a lot of inventory or is there little inventory? Do I need to look more at 60 days or do I need to look beyond that at 120 because there's just no inventory?
Yeah.
So
right.
It's not such an easy equation. I always call it my realtor math, right? It's like I have to take my knowledge on what's currently happening to decide what the best time frame is to look for comps.
Yeah. So I call it an art and a science.
Yes.
Right? So it's like there is a science to it because we're using data, but the art of it is like, which street is it on? Which direction is it facing? Like, you know, not just what has sold, like, you know, in the neighborhood, but the timing of that home, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, using Zillow as comps, that's mistake number 1, definitely, right? And of course, using active listings. So comping out properties, don't make a mistake about comping out properties. Okay. So here's a hot topic that you're going to love this one is AI. People using ChatGPT to quote unquote buy a home. Okay. So mistake number 2, let's get into it. What do you think?
I mean, AI is so fantastic for a lot of things. You want to use it for a social media post? Awesome. It'll pop in all your emojis. But using it to determine what your winning price should be on a home? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
It comes down to the same reason you shouldn't trust Zillow
right.
to tell you what to do,
yeah.
right? You've got to have that human component. Like you said, it's both an art and
a science. Right.
And so I think AI can be very misleading.
Yeah.
I think, in fact, I tried doing it for a listing just for giggles to see what it would tell me.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, I mean, I won't give details on the listing, but I put in a listing and I'm like, what would be a winning offer? And AI gives you this really compelling argument for why you should be offering, I think it was $200K over asking.
Is this the one that we did together? Okay.
And I'm like, 200K. It's been on how many days? I think almost 3 weeks now.
Right,
I think we're at 2.5 weeks. I'm like,
Right.
I think you could probably write that at asking and you might be okay.
And I mean, who knows where this data is coming from, right? So it's like, yeah, and in some ways you can kind of poke into those little like, you know, what do they call them on the sides of the citations?
Yeah.
You can kind of poke into the citations, but this is like real time stuff that's happening. So I don't know where they got that answer. So let's talk about the experiment that we ran. Okay, so we just decided we're gonna run an experiment, okay, with a home in our area, right? So we pick an active listing, had just come on the market, and we put it in and we asked ChatGPT, hey, what do you think winning bid would be on this home? Okay, so what happened after that?
I mean, it went through, it pulled a lot of comps, so it was very compelling. And then it said, based on the market, it would be competitive.
Right.
And it went ahead and suggested, I believe it was listed at 2.5, and it suggested a winning bid at 2.73.
Yeah, right, exactly. And to your point, this house is still on the market.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about comps, and if you're talking to any realtor, a home that's on the market for more than 7 days usually, right, in a seller's market, which in some areas we are still in a seller's market, then you know it's not going to go over the asking price more than likely, right?
No, but also, are we really putting all our faith in a computer bot, in AI, for one of the largest financial decisions that we will make?
I will not.
And we're not going to check and balance that with a professional realtor that can guide you on today's activity?
I'm not going to even take advice about how to cut my hair using AI, okay? Before I put scissors to head, I am definitely watching a tutorial on YouTube. There's no way I'm going to ask an AI bot to tell me how to fix my hair. It's permanent.
It's just amazing how comfortable we've become with like AI just being such an authority and such a know-it-all, if you will.
Right.
Like
right.
if AI says it, it must be true.
Well, not to mention that, like, I don't understand it because we all know that AI hallucinates, right? Like, have you ever had an AI hallucination? Have you?
I mean, I've entered things in AI that I know are a bad idea, and it's like, well, that's a really good idea because, and it's like, pat yourself on the back for that one. And I'm like, it's like a false cheerleader. It's like false hope.
That's too much. Stop it. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I'll tell you, it was actually one of our videos. I uploaded one of our videos, and if you have watched our videos, you may see my dogs in the back. So this is usually their nap time, so they're usually kind of cruising the couch and being quiet in the background, but every now and again you can kind of see them jump in the background. So I thought, oh, that's funny. I was trying to show a friend, and so I'm like, oh, let me upload this to Gemini real quick and see if Gemini can tell me at which minute of the video that we can see my dogs. My dogs are this big, okay? They're tiny little fluffy things, right? They're Havanese dogs. And I upload the video and I said, hey, what minute can you see my dogs? And Gemini's like, this is a cute video about a Malinois dog that jumps on a couch. I'm like, what? I'm like, now I'm questioning everything. Should I even be listening to you at all? Like, you know? So if you have worked enough with AI, you know that there's going to be some bad answers.
Yes.
There's going to be some what do you call it? I want to say, but you know, what do you call it? Like,
honestly, I like the AI hallucinations. I mean, that's hilarious.
When it gives you too much hype, it's hyping you up too much.
It's like this false like encouragement.
Yeah.
Like it'll say, I think you should do this. And you're like, ooh, AI, I did this. Is this okay?
Right.
And then AI's like, well, I could see why you did that. Yeah, good job doing that. And it's like cheering you on saying, yeah, that's okay. That works because of this. You made the right choice.
It's toxic positivity.
It is. That's exactly what it is.
Toxic
positivity. Thank you for
that's
labeling that.
Yes, that's what it is. Because, I mean, sometimes it's like, it doesn't want to tell you you're wrong, so then it just tells you you're right, and you're not getting to the bottom of the answer.
Yeah, it's like AI is afraid to hurt your feelings.
That's what it is. AI is afraid to hurt your feelings.
And I'm like, isn't it just supposed to be brutally honest? Who wants a best friend that isn't brutally honest?
Right.
Like, who keeps that friend around?
Right. I mean, you can't. You can never trust a friend like that.
So why are we trusting AI?
Exactly. You can't. You absolutely cannot, right? Because you're like, listen, I keep around the people that keep it real with me, right?
100%.
Because if you don't, then, I mean, you're going to be going out with toilet paper on your shoe. And something in your teeth.
Yeah.
Right? You want the friend that's going to be like, girl, you got something in your teeth, right?
Let's fix that.
Right, exactly. You don't want to be like, you look great, girl. Go right ahead, right? Yeah. Toxic positivity. That's what AI is all about. So yes, that is mistake number 2. Buyers, definitely beware of throwing things into AI, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're asking ChatGPT, I'm going to tell you one thing. ChatGPT cannot see that foundation crack.
Nope.
Okay? So ChatGPT is not going to know that this house has been upgraded more than the house next door, right? So that's the thing, is that you need that human to look things over, right? To make sure that the data makes sense in context. And that's what computers, Zillow, AI cannot do.
You need the checks and balances. You need that experience of a human being that's out there right now or yesterday or last week.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So number 3. Oh, this is your favorite topic. Number 3 is timing the market.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Impossible.
Right?
Like, the best time to buy was yesterday.
Right. Absolutely. Right. And the next best time is today.
Today.
Right?
I mean,
that's the saying we always say in real estate, right? That, hey, the best time to buy was 10 years ago. Second best time is today. Get on the ball.
So do it when you can.
Right.
Because you're never going to nail this magical idea of the best time.
No, there is no such thing as the best time, right? And especially on the buying side. On the buying side, it's impossible because it's basically like the frog boiling in the pot of water. You don't really know what kind of market you are in until you look backwards, right? So the only way to know if you're doing the right thing is buying a property that's right for you over a long period of time.
100%. It's buying a property when you have the funds and when you can afford it. Mm-hmm. That is the right time to buy a home.
Right. Yeah. And the perfect timing doesn't exist. That's what keeps buyers renting for decades, right? So make a plan. If you want to be a homeowner, stop making excuses like, oh, it's a bad time, the interest rates, the stock market, the this and that. If you can afford to buy something, that is the right time.
It is the right time because market conditions change.
Yeah.
So, okay, interest rates are too high. Well, guess what? Interest rates change.
Right.
You can refinance later. So if they're high, maybe you're competing with less buyers. Maybe it's easier to get in right now. There's so many variables that are changing that if you can do it now, that is the right time.
Right, absolutely. Because here's the thing, it's like, if you're a buyer, you can think of a million reasons why it's not the right time. I mean, it's like thinking about going to the gym. I mean, it's never the right time for me.
Nope, me neither.
I never have the right outfit. I didn't wake up early enough, right? I got to work out at home. Because otherwise, if I have to put on clothes and go somewhere, forget it. I'm not going to do it. It's like I can think of a million excuses, right? So we don't want to give ourselves that kind of, excuse to not put a real, effort into figuring out, okay, listen, this is a good time for me to do this personally, and this isn't a good investment for me. And so worrying about the timing of something is probably not the right thing to do.
And most people don't regret buying a property. It's typically, oh my God, I should have done it sooner.
Okay, so, and what's funny is that you and I both have timing stories about properties that we bought. So I'll tell you my story, which is kind of funny, which is when we bought our home. It was actually in recession days. Okay, we bought 2 houses, one right before the recession and one right in the middle of the recession. And in the middle of the recession, people were just like dumping properties, like, values were plummeting, $200,000, $300,000, downward, right? Like weekly things were just going, worse and worse and worse and worse, right? When we decided to put an offer on this home, of course, we end up in a competition with another buyer. Of course we do.
Of course you do.
Right? So get this. So I'm like, okay, we're in a competition with another buyer. We had put offers on other properties. It didn't work out. But I'm like, okay, and maybe not other properties. Maybe we thought about once before and we put an offer on another house. It ended up in a lawsuit with the neighbor. That's the reason why we didn't get that one. But on this third try, essentially, when we had multiple offers, I'm thinking to myself, what can we do? Which is in those days unheard of, which is overbid. You go over the asking price, right? Imagine I put $30,000 over the asking price and I wanted to die.
That's amazing. I would love for my clients to win a house by only overbidding by $30,000.
Right? Is that hysterical?
Yeah.
And at the time I was losing sleep, like, oh my God, what did I do? Right? But now, 15 years later, you're like...
So did you get your equity back?
Yeah, exactly. It's a hilarious story 15 years later, right?
Well, now you laugh about it because it's insane.
Exactly. And that's the power of real estate, because it is a long-term investment. And so over time, you're not going to worry about $30,000 here or there because you're going to make your investment back, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, in some of my videos, I hear somebody was talking about condos, and one of the people that commented said, now, the HOA fees have gone up so much. It's so terrible. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for what, right? It doesn't make sense for who? It doesn't make sense means, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Because over time, it's going to make sense. It's a long-term investment.
Yeah. As long as you're holding on to it for a minimum, 7 years, like, you're going to get it back. Even if you decide to move after 3, you're probably going to be okay.
Right, absolutely.
It wouldn't be any different than if you were paying rent.
Okay, but let's say, well,
if you leave quickly,
girl,
right?
There is a big difference between if you pay rent and you pay yourself in a mortgage. There is a big difference, but it's not a big difference in the rent. It's a big difference in whether or not you're going to have equity or not.
Yes.
And whether or not you're going to have a write-off or not, right? So I think that, these fears, about, paying HOA fees or, that, paying a mortgage is higher than renting, you're going to end up basically losing money.
Yeah.
Right? In the long term.
It's a long-term investment. Mm-hmm. That's what an investment means.
Right. Yeah.
It means you have to wait.
Right. It means
for
you have to
it
wait.
to just work in the background.
And let's say in 3 years you haven't made the money that you need to accomplish your goal. I know everybody looks at Zillow for sport. They're always wondering like what their property is, right? But it's not real money, and it doesn't really mean anything until you go and sell your home, right? And so let's say in 3 years you're thinking to yourself, okay, I want to sell my home, and you haven't made the money that you need. Here's the thing. A little bit of pre-planning can help you weather that storm on your investing, right? So a little bit of pre-planning, and you go, all right, well, I have basically built in a 5 or a 7 year buffer for myself. So if I don't have what I want in 3 years, that's okay. I can still weather the storm in this house and get what I need, right? So like if you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, there's 2 of us now and we may, need to move in, adult children or a parent or, a baby or a large dog, then try and purchase something that can grow with you for 5 to 7 years.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be forever.
Right.
And that's what I think a lot of people miss. It's like everybody thinks that their first home is going to be like their final destination, their dream home. And that's just not always realistic.
Right.
I have the exact same experience where my first property was a condo. And at the time I had a friend move in with me because I didn't want to be by myself in a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
And eventually, you know, the boyfriend moved in, and then we got a dog, and the roommate left, and then it was, oh, we're going to get married. We need to plan for kids. And so it's like we stayed there until we outgrew it.
Yeah.
And it was fine while we were there, but that meant I was growing my equity in that time instead of just waiting till I could say, okay, I need the big house. I'm young, don't need any of the bedrooms yet, don't need the yard yet, but
Right.
let's not buy it until we can get that one.
Right.
It didn't make sense to do that.
Okay, and I'm gonna flip some people's noodle for a second, and tell you a trick that I think is one of the best tricks if you're a first-time home buyer. Okay, this is the best trick. So let's say you're like, okay, we're a couple, we are gonna have a baby in the next, 3 to 5 years or something like that, and we can't afford to purchase in our preferred area in a great school district, whatever, right? You have some time, right?
Yeah.
Not even pregnant, you have 6 years.
Yeah.
You've got plenty of time, right? So if you were like, okay, like you said, it's not going to be forever, but I can't afford in the neighborhood that I want. Here's a trick, okay? You buy below your means, way below your means, okay? And the best way to get an investment property is to first purchase a primary residence property, okay? And here's some good reasons to do it that way. Number one, you have lower interest rates. If it's an investment property, right, girl? Yeah. If it is an investment property, then the lender is going to charge you higher interest rates. And then number two, you're going to have higher insurance rates. Your insurance company, right? And number three, you have to put more money down if it's an investment property.
Yeah.
So a lot of lenders are going to charge you 30% down instead of 20% down, or minimum down. Just so everybody understands, if you are a buyer, minimum down is 3.5%. If you're buying for your personal property, you're going to live in it, okay? But there's no time frame. You can move out in a year, right? And if you buy below your means and make that property into a rental property, then you could save up your money and buy another property, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times people can't do this maneuver because they have too many life things going on, right?
Yeah.
So if you have 3 kids, this is going to be very difficult for you to pull off, right? So that's why you shouldn't delay buying your first property.
Yeah.
You got a lot of use out of a 2-bedroom condo.
I got a lot of use out of it. And yeah, it grew with me. I had friend to boyfriend to dog to it's time for something bigger. But there was so much there when I purchased that where I was like, okay, I could be here. Like, okay, we could walk around the block. There's room for the dog to play.
Right.
It's prioritizing. And I did. I turned it into a rental. I didn't keep it a rental forever. Eventually, what we needed as a family was we needed that to reinvest. And so we sold eventually.
Right.
But we kept it for as long as it made sense.
Right. And I mean, you had a write-off the whole time.
Yeah.
Right? And you were able to purchase another property, right? So, and here's the thing, if you have it rented, your renter's paying off your mortgage. Like, that is the best.
And your equity's growing while they're paying your mortgage.
I know. So if you have the opportunity, this is absolutely the best trick in real estate, okay? And don't forget, if, let's say it makes sense for you, so there's a personal property tax exemption, okay? So the rule is you have to be in the property 3 of the last 5, right?
Yeah.
So you have to sell your house within 2 years, right, of you leaving the property. Here's the thing. If you are a single person, don't have to pay taxes on equity gain, on any gain, if it's over $250,000 or $500 for a married couple. So let's say you have a huge tax liability. You don't know whether or not you want to, buy another home and stay in there or leave the area or what have you. If you rent, but then sell within 2 years, you can still get that personal property tax exemption.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always tell my clients too that are thinking of going out of town, I'm like, maybe just rent it for 2 years first. Make sure you really want to leave.
Right.
Because again, it allows you that time to make a choice.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's a tricky one too, because what you don't want to do is wait around for the market to improve. So if you're like, well, I don't want to sell my property right now, I'm going to rent it because last year it was worth more. The problem you may get into is that in 2 years, it may not be more, it could be less, right? So we never know what the market is going to do. None of us do. We don't have crystal balls, right? So, but the one thing we do know is what's happening right now. We know what's happening right now in the market, right? So because we cannot see the future, you have to make your decision based on now. And so don't just put off the decision just to put it off. Make sure you're making a strategic choice for yourself if that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
Like if it goes down, that's fine. But if you're trying to make it for economic reasons, that may be a trap.
Yeah.
Watch that one.
Well, I only advise that if someone's moving out of state, because I'm like, are you sure you want to leave California?
Right.
Sure, that's a good idea.
I know.
I go, because it's really hard to come back.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So that's the only time I really advise, like, oof, why don't you go live in Texas for a year before you decide if you want to come right back?
Yeah. Could be, girl. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. Okay. All right, here we go. So here's another one of yours that you love, which is buying the house for the condition and not the location.
Oh, don't do it. You can always fix the house, but you can always fix the house or the kitchen, but you cannot fix the zip code that you buy in.
Amen. That's totally right. I love that. Yeah. No, I mean, how can you fix the zip code? You can't.
That is so hard for me when I take buyers because they go, the house is perfect. I'm like, but that's not where you wanted to be. You want to be in this neighborhood. Those were your wishes, not mine. You just communicated those to me. And sometimes buyers are really blinded by the condition of the home. And I mean, I think you and I both know, like, we've fixed up our homes.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, ooh, it's a diamond in the rough. Like, you can make the home anything you want, but you can't pick your house up and put it in the right zip code.
But that's right. I mean, wherever it is, right? I mean, and trust us, if you don't like the location on the day that you see it, you're not going to like it even more if you're staying there for 3 or 4 years, okay? It's not going to get better.
And your neighbor's house may be worth X amount, and if you're on the main street, like, yours may not be worth the same because of the specific location. Right,
absolutely. And so, I've definitely gone places where, we walk into the home and we realize, oh, whoops, there's a big, high power line like right behind the house. And I look at my buyers' faces, and if their faces are like, I'm not sure, I'm like, let's go. Because you know what? You're not going to like it even more in a year, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're starting out and you're like, I don't know about it, I don't think so, right? Then that's something you can't change.
Yeah. It's trust your gut, right?
Trust your gut.
Like that gut feeling.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if it has something that you absolutely can't change, like the location or something that's physical around, that's not going to be a busy street. Yeah. You can't change that. And we don't want to just go for the shiny object.
No, because you can make any house shiny and beautiful.
Yeah, right. I know. I mean, I think some people are worried about the cost of renovations, right?
Well, and I think that's where it comes down to, right? Everything doesn't have to be done overnight, right? So you can tackle one project at a time. If you're able to do the whole house, that's amazing, but that's typically not realistic.
Yeah. And, the funny thing is that realtors were very good at fixing up a house for like on a shoestring budget, right? That makes it look really good on a low price. And I think it's hard for buyers to see that, but we kind of do that every day, right? That's part of our job to help sellers. And so, sometimes if you go in and the kitchen cabinets are good enough, but they're, the overall kitchen feels like it's not your style, fixing up the countertops could do the trick, right?
I've got clients that say that a lot of times when they're like, a lot of divorce situations where they're like, oh, but I don't want the house. It just reminds me. I'm like, let's change it.
Yeah.
I'm like, we do this all the time when we prep homes for the market. I'm like, it's amazing how changing small things just give it a whole different feel.
Yeah.
And so I try to work with my clients sometimes when I'm like, it doesn't make sense for you to sell your house. I'd love to, but this doesn't make sense. So let's change the vibe in there.
Right.
And like, they're always so surprised how small things can just make such transformational differences.
I know. Sometimes I wish I was like an aftermarket designer.
Right?
Right? Like I could just like be like, okay, we're buying this home and then I'm going to doll it up for you at the end, right? But we don't, our licenses don't cover that. So that's a no.
I mean, I do love a fixer. Like I love seeing the potential in homes.
Me
like
too.
that genuinely makes me excited.
Well, and also too, I think, like you said it, I think we're both that kind of like get the worst property on the best street.
100%
kind of
nailed
girls.
that on my home.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
most amazing house is how I describe it. My husband's like, it's a fixer-upper. Are you kidding me? And I'm like, no, just like imagine. These windows are going to be doors. There's going to be all this natural light. Like we'll raise the ceilings. And he's like, are you kidding me? All he sees is this 1960s original like gem, as I call it, because it had so much potential. But I want the most affordable house in the best neighborhood.
Right, exactly.
And yeah, we'll make it our own, even better. Bonus points. I get to choose every finish in there.
And you nailed it. Your house is gorgeous. So,
Thank you.
and it is on a great street. So
It
there
is.
you go. That's the way you pick them, right? So definitely always for location. I think the other thing too is that sometimes for location, you're going to have to trade off square footage.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
And I know people, sometimes square footage is a deal breaker, but weighing square footage versus location for realtors, location is going to be king when it comes to your property value, right?
Absolutely, location.
So, I mean, and hey, sometimes you're like, all right, well, I can only afford a house on a busy street and I'm willing to compromise that. And I say that if that's your choice, totally get it, totally behind you, always support my clients. But whatever you get in terms of a discount on the way in, you have to give away when you exit.
Yeah, you have to have those proper expectations. The other thing that I like to talk about with my clients too is sometimes a house isn't as big as we want it to be when it comes to a budget standpoint, but that's when you got to ask yourself, well, how's the backyard?
Right.
How's our outdoor space?
Right.
Can we turn this into indoor-outdoor living where we can create a space outside that serves as an extension of our home?
Right.
So maybe we can't host everybody on our dinner table in our home because
Right.
maybe we went with a fabulous location but smaller home. But we have the room outside to host a fabulous party or barbecue.
Listen, in California, our backyards are our living rooms, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We are so lucky to be able to, I mean, how many parties have I hosted in February outside with just fire pits and, some heat lamps?
Some heat lamps and fire pits go a long way. It's California.
Right.
I mean, we're having an unheard of spring where it's like, it's summer right now.
It's like 87 degrees.
It doesn't even make sense. We just skip spring.
Right, yeah, exactly. So I think especially people from out of state who are looking in, they're like, oh my God, for this, price per square footage. But it's like, hey, you know what? Our backyard is an extension of our homes, just like kind of like New York. Like this city is like an extension of your home. Like New Yorkers, the kitchen is, this big, they don't cook, right? They go out to eat every night. It's because the city, that's your backyard. Here, that's the same for us. It's like our backyard is where we live. That's where we're with our kids all the time. And don't forget, if you guys haven't watched our episode about ADUs, go back because that is the California basement, right?
Seriously.
Yeah. So go back and watch our ADU video because that'll explain more about how we live in our homes here in California. Okay. All right. The last one, which is number 5, is going to be school boundaries.
Oof.
Okay. So check those school boundaries, and kind of a hot topic, which is school boundaries changing, but we may want to put that on the back burner.
They want to put that on pause for now.
But in general, so keep your eyes out, peeled, make sure there's no changes in the community. But that does kind of make, me want to give you guys a reminder that make sure you're checking the boundaries on the school's website before making any purchase decisions.
Yeah. And if you think your home value is safe, you really want to look at those boundary maps because there is one thing that's constant over time, and that is change happens. Mm-hmm. So if you are focused on a particular school and a boundary line, my biggest piece of advice is you better find that home as close to that school that you want. Because if you are on the border of that boundary, the only thing that's consistent over time is as we build throughout the city, those boundaries often shrink because what are we building? We're building multifamily housing, high density housing. So those boundaries that were once spread out here are doing this over time.
Yeah.
So if that is a priority, you definitely want to make sure you're well within the boundary and not on the outskirts.
I think you say it all the time. You're like, you want to be smack dab in the middle of that boundary, right?
I mean, I did the same thing when I looked for a home. I told my husband, I'm like, well, we got to be south of Camden. And he's like, I'm sorry, what? We're not going to look at anything here, but what about, and I'm like, it's beautiful, but I wouldn't even go look at it. Yeah. I was like, nope, I want to be specific to these schools, and I want to be like in the middle of that boundary. I want to be nowhere near the edge of that boundary because times change.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're accommodating for more people in this city. We are constantly building, which means boundaries are typically shrinking, not expanding.
Yeah. Well, and take it from a mom who is, her kids are almost completely out of local schools, elementary, middle, and high. Mine are almost all the way out. I have to say that as parents, we have like so much concern for our kids about schools, and it gets us like so upset. And one thing that I definitely would tell myself is to not worry so much about it, right? There's some great schools, and people here in particular, different, you know, a little bit different from where I came from, because private school was a little bit more normal.
Yeah.
But people are very fierce about these boundary lines, and there's some things that are out of your control.
There are some things that are out of our control. It is very difficult. Obviously, there's a lot of changes with our schools in San Jose Unified. On the other hand, I have one that's going to middle school next year, so we're excited. Like, none of these school boundaries affect us. But for elementary school, I do have a first grader, and I'm right there with every other parent. It's very emotional. Our school may or may not be closed. And we love our school and our community. And I think everybody feels the same way about their school. But what I have learned through this process is we will all be happy wherever we end up, but change is just so difficult. And I think our kids are so much better at adapting and seeing the positive than we are as adults.
We put so much into it. Like you said, you did research, and I was the same way. I was like, we want to be here and there, and, you know, on this side of this and whatever. We did all of those things, right? And, you know, what you find is that, you know, my kid ended up at, you know, this school, but the school, you know, just one school over is good too, right? But it's stressful. You've made so many plans, and so many, you know, thoughts and plans and everything has gone into it. Yeah. That you can't help but feel like your life is out of your control and everything's tossed up. But like you said, your kid's going to be fine, you know, wherever they land.
And the reality is, yes, we made so many choices based on wanting to be in a particular boundary. But the reality is, and we all know this at the end of the day as parents, is the education is as good as the parents who participate. And whether my child's school gets closed down or not, I'll just participate at the next school. It's not going to stop me from being present and being supportive of my children.
Yeah.
But change is hard.
Right, absolutely.
Nobody likes it, including myself.
No, I hate it. I hate it. So, I mean, it is, even for me, whose kids are not affected, the school boundaries is very nerve-wracking. And so everybody who's going through that, you know, I really have a lot of sympathy for everybody in my community. And it's hard. We don't, not beyond just the boundaries changing because of, you know, how we feel about our own children going to that school. It is breaking up a community.
Yeah.
And that's kind of heartbreaking, you know. I think being a hopeful person, you have to say, like you said, it's not just you who's going to pour your heart into a school. It's going to be the other parents who are going to pour their heart into the next school. So we just have to think of that. But it is hard.
It is hard. And I think the other thing that I talked to my first grader about, right, because it's very real, we may or may not have the same school next year, is I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
These are neighborhood schools.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means? That means our friend that lives 5 blocks down, you're going to be in school with her.
Right.
Like, we only see them in the summer on swim team, but now we're going to get to see those friends if we end up at their school. So it's just merging more of our friends.
Right.
More relationships.
Right.
That we're able to foster, and more folks to hang out with. It's fine.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's tough, and however this shakes out, and those who are fighting to keep the schools together, God bless you guys, because I know that's a super hard job, and there's a lot of people, working hard towards that. And I mean, don't get us wrong, we don't want anything to change in our communities. Either of us don't want that. We're just trying to put our best hopeful selves forward, and really, try and look at the bright side of things.
Yeah. We got to look at the bright side, because change is inevitable.
Change is inevitable. I know. And if you and we kind of talked about this on our last podcast a little bit, right? Like about area changes and things like that.
Yeah.
What did was it Roosevelt that said the only what is
something about the only constant is
change itself.
Yes.
Okay, forgive me if it isn't Roosevelt.
We might have butchered it a little bit, but you get the general idea.
You get the general idea. Alrighty, so those are our top 5. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out our next episode, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.